We are on the air. Another edition of Nosebleeders. At the moment, it is just me, Mike Scroy. Phil will be joining us momentarily. He's dealing with his dog and some subway stops. He's on his way back to Brooklyn. Speaking of Brooklyn, I am with my special guest today. We work together at Barstool, and now he hosts a podcast of his own called the Meat Pop Express, all about the wonderful world of wrestling. Nicky the Good, also from Brooklyn. I mentioned that already. And he's Italian like me. Not as handsome as me, but he's... Okay, I went a little too far. I know you are the king of looks.
Easy, Mike. Easy, Mike. Let's just get started on a good feed. Yes, I am Nicky the Good here, born and raised in Brooklyn. I have the Meat Pop Express podcast. Me and Big Trouble Ben Bishop, 6'12", 15% of a metric ton. And then you got myself. I also do the People's Dad. You forgot to mention that. The People's Dad is my other podcast. I'm a man of a million podcasts. I do it all. There's nothing I can't do. And that's a show about parenting where I talk about, just those damn kids, man. Those damn kids. Talk about those damn kids. So yeah, I'm a bit of an onion. Lots of layers. You know what I'm saying?
Lots of layers.
Yeah.
Always working hard, always hustling. That's what you like to see.
Have to do it.
You helped me out a lot when we worked together at Barstool, just learning the ropes, and now we no longer work there. So
No, we don't. We don't. They made arguably the worst business decision of their lives, letting someone go that was just this damn good looking. I think it was because maybe I just didn't fit the demo, right? Like I look incredible on screen. Right?
Yeah.
And I just don't think I fit in there. Maybe that's what they weren't looking for. You know what I'm saying?
They don't understand the greatness of the looks of Italians. They
don't get it. And as you know, there's a major issue with anti-Italian discrimination going on over there. So I have to think that has something to do with it, because it surely cannot do with anything with talent. Because as you know,
right,
that's kind of my thing. That's my bag.
You're excellent. I want to talk to, first of all, I want to talk about wrestling. I want to talk about the podcast, but I know you're a big Mets fan. I, of course, am a Yankee fan, but we share a common player who played for both of our teams, Dwight Gooden. Today was his jersey retirement ceremony. And I remember, I'll say this, about 10 or so years ago, I called Steve Summers on WFAN. I had went to a Met game with a friend, sat in the outfield, and the outfielders at the time were wearing number 16, 17, and 18. And even as a Yankee fan, I knew that was disgraceful. And now Keith is retired. Today was Dwight Gooden's number retirement. They're going to get to Darryl later this season. How great is this that they are finally giving the respect to the people who made the Mets great to New York?
I think it's bigger than just just acknowledging the man. It's more about just kind of the Mets franchise in general. Like over the past few years, obviously with Cohen, taking ownership of the team. And while we've had some of our shortfalls recently, like last year and things like that, the reality is that when we were under the regime of the Wilpons, we seemingly just did nothing right for the fans or the team. If you could embarrass the franchise in a way, the Wilpons would make sure that it was done. So at least with Cohen, things are being done the right way. The people that we want honored as fans are being honored. There's a lot of fan service going on with Cohen and the Mets fans. And I think that's a lot of just like having to rebuild bridges, rebuild trust, because we are an extremely scarred fan base. The Met fans especially. We've been through a lot, and we just need little wins right now. And eventually, before I die, I just want one World Series. That's literally all I want.
I believe they will get it. As a kid growing up, the Yankees were garbage. My older cousin was a Met fan. My mom was a Met fan. The Mets were everything in New York. I remember when they went to the World Series, and I remember the Let's Go Mets song, and the Yankees seemed irrelevant. And I didn't like the Mets. And as I got older, things flipped, as we know. The Mets, they went to the World Series in 2000, and they went what year was it when they played Kansas City? 2015, 2014? Around there?
2015. The big year, though, was 2006, where we didn't even make it to the World Series, because that was arguably the best team that we truly had. Like that 06 team, if we were to beat the Cardinals in Game 7, I was there. I saw the Wainwright curveball. I was there. I remember walking to my car. I remember crying. I remember doing it all. If we win, we sweep the Tigers. We would have bashed the Tigers' heads in. We would have dominated them. The Mets were the best team in baseball that year. But sometimes the best team just does not win.
That happens. So, now my brother became a Met fan. He switched. My brother switched. He was a Yankee fan just because of, we grew up Yankee fans. I stuck with the Yankees. My brother said, I'm going to root for the Mets. I want to root for the underdog.
How old were you when you did this?
Let's see. When he switched, it had to be when he was in college, maybe. So now he's.
I mean, that's just embarrassing.
I don't know. I just didn't really care as much.
I would never allow my child.
Yeah.
I have a boy. I would never allow him to switch his. First of all, he would never be allowed to be a Yankee fan. I disown him for that before I disown him for anything, because I despise the Yankees. You know this. You said
yes.
I despise them. Sorry. Are we cursing here?
You can care whatever you want.
I fucking hate them. I hate them. They're the only opposing rival at this point in my life. I'm 38. I'll be 39 in June. It's the only team that truly will bother me. When they win. Like if even like I hate Ranger fans, but
okay, so
they're not the Mets to me. Like they're not. I mean, they're not the Yankees to me. Like I could tolerate it. The Yankees I just hope injury. I wish injury. Bad contracts. I wish bad contracts. I want them to have nothing. I want them to absolutely suffer, and that's because of my age. I was in high school for that 2000 World Series. I went to an all-boy Italian high school in 2000.
Okay.
If you can imagine what I had to go through. And I'm a big personality. As the signature #1 de facto Met fan at that school, I had the ultimate target on my back. Sorry, I'm rambling, but this is what happens.
No, it's passionate. That's what we talk about, local sports and national sports, but I love the local perspective. I want to see the Mets do well. They have, I've been lucky enough to see the Yankees win. Of course, I always want to see the Yankees win. But it's for New York to see the Mets win would be outstanding. It
would take over the city. It would take over the city. Like, I mean, other than the Knicks, obviously, I think would be the biggest championship that we could bring to the city, even bigger than the Rangers. I think the Knicks, because there's only one team. I mean, the Nets don't count. No one counts the Nets. I mean, let's just be honest. No one gives a shit about the Nets, and they never will. But it's the New York Knicks, the Garden. Right? Like, haven't won in forever, and everyone can unite about it. And there's nothing bigger than basketball at the Garden in the playoffs. I mean, and I'm saying that as a Met fan, where I would love to be we would be the biggest. No, it would be the Knicks. The Knicks in the Garden would just simply.
I think so.
I don't know how, and they have a legit shot of it happening too. Like they could get to they're. If they don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's a major bust. They just won today. They got the 2 seed.
Yep.
So
that's a blessing.
Brunson's an MVP.
It's been unreal.
It's a blessing, man.
I had it last season with the Knicks. I'll say briefly. We would sit in the office, me, you, and Coleman, our buddy Coleman from Barstool. We would talk Knicks.
That fucking fraud Yankee fan, Coleman.
Coleman. We would sit though. We would talk Knicks, and just the fact that last year was the first time in maybe 20 years or whatever, I was on the edge of my seat watching them when they were playing the Heat, and it felt good to feel that anxiety again. Strangely enough, so this playoffs, I'm really looking forward to it.
And I don't even hold anything against Knick fans that like myself that left the Knicks. How could you ever root for that franchise with what they were throwing out there year after year? You want to talk about hopeless. I mean, it's New York City. You're in the Garden. You have there's one team in the state. That's just reality. The Nets don't count. Again, I'll say it again. The Nets don't count. You have one team in the state, and this is what you do year after year. It was just disrespectful. They didn't deserve fans at that point.
Yeah, well, they lost Frank the Tank, so he's on the good side now.
Yeah, I know. What side isn't he on?
Yeah. It'll be great for the Knicks. I'm looking forward to it. But with the Mets, what did you think of the game today? What did you think of the ceremony and how they treated Doc?
I'm not into all of this stuff. I'm just gonna be. I know you're more of a baseball purist than probably I am.
Okay.
I'm just I'm never really other than Piazza, I've never been like that connected to a player where like him leaving the team or any circumstance really like hurt me. Like even when David Wright retired, I was like, whatever, your time to go. You got the back. I understand. But like when Piazza left, it like hurt me to see him in another uniform. I remember that specifically. But
he went to Oakland, right?
I mean, listen, he went to Oakland, and then Padres, I think, and then he had a few other stops. But like, I don't know. Just that they did right by him. They did right by it. I thought, they're doing ceremonies right now. They're doing all the things in a manner that I can respect and be proud to be a Met fan on that day, rather than just being completely mocked, which is what we're used to.
I'm just happy to see him in good health, because even somebody in the radio was saying today, like, he might not even have been here today.
Right.
He got his life right. Thank God.
Right. So. He sure did. And he's been speaking very well. And it's good to see that. You never want to see your heroes die early. You never want to see your heroes be, look less than superhuman. You want to be able to tell the stories to your kids and everything. And like, and you want to be able to, just romanticize about how great it was to watch a person like this at such a high level. But the problem is if they do end up going down a dark path, or end up taking, a turn for the worse, it just doesn't feel the same way telling those stories, because there's always that other side of things,
Yeah.
And, a lot of that's with pro wrestling. Like a lot of that is with pro wrestling, like, and, something I deeply care about, as you know. So, I think that's a good point you made. It's really nice to see that he's in good health, and then he got to celebrate everything and celebrate himself for all the good things.
Yeah. And he seems to be, honestly, a very humble guy. I met him, I had an autograph signing, and I saw him when he showed up. He just showed up with his child, and I'm assuming it was his wife or whoever it was. And they just drove up in their car, and they just walked up to the event. There was no limo. There was no handlers. And he was never really a guy I can recall who had this big flair on the mound. He would do his job, walk off the field. And for someone he reached peak pitching performance like nobody else. Like, if you talk about the best pitchers ever, he reached the
definition of dominance, of absolute dominance.
And he was never like a flashy guy. He just did his job and walked off the field. And that's why it was always, when you found out about his addictions, it was like, really? Like, he was such a calm guy. He wasn't like Dykstra was the party animal. You would think that, but not Gooden. So I'm just glad he's doing well. I'm glad he's well. And
yeah, man. I mean, there's only so many greats that we're blessed with on this earth, and you want to keep them around as much as possible, because to be around people like that, if you're just in their presence, it's kind of cool, man. It's pretty damn cool.
It is. It is good to see them. And then I'm looking forward to the one with Daryl as well, another guy who you learn from example.
Daryl will be a little bit different for me, because Daryl was like the guy when I was like in T-ball, and like every kid was like, Daryl Strawberry is the man. If you were a Met fan if you were a kid, if you were a Met fan, and you're like, you had it in number 18. Like, I had I had the Strawberry cards. My dad would talk about them nonstop. I remember I played Amity baseball in Brooklyn, New York. And as a kid, like on the back of your baseball T-ball card, it was who's your favorite player. And every single kid, if they were Mets fans, every single one was Daryl Strawberry.
That's awesome. I remember doing that as a kid. My favorite guy growing up was Dave Winfield. And obviously I was too young to really get to see him play. I just knew the Yankees had Mattingly, Winfield, because of the baseball cards, Mattingly, Winfield, Anderson, and Randolph. And I liked Dave Winfield because he was the biggest guy. I'm like, he's the home run guy. So today, actually, I got his autograph. I met him today in person. My dad got me this rookie card when I was 10, and I've been waiting all these years to get it signed. So I got it signed today in Jersey.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So what you're saying about putting your favorite player's name on your little league, or I had that, but Dave Winfield was traded, so I had to pick all these scrub Yankees. I couldn't put Mattingly because my friend was the Mattingly fan. I would feel like a phony. So I had like Lee Guterman or like Hensley Mullen. These guys
you always want your player.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll tell a quick story here.
Yeah.
So Strawberry, obviously, like T-ball growing up was like my guy. But like as you grow a little bit older, like when you start playing, like high school, you start trying to look at players that you're like, okay, whose number do I wear and why do I wear that number? Like I don't know why, but like when I got to high school, I was, I was varsity and I played baseball at Severian. Severian was a pretty high. If I would have maybe grown over 5'7", maybe I would have had a future, but that didn't happen. So, but like that was a top notch school. We were legit. We were like I think like 10th in the nation my senior year, and I remember like being tasked with like, hey, what number do you want? And I was like, I want number 8. And they were like, why? And it's because I was a catcher, and I was like, Gary Carter. Like, so like and what happened with Gary Carter is, so at Severian High School, our home field is where the Brooklyn Cyclones play.
Oh, okay.
So that it was Keyspan Park at the time.
Right.
Like an actual A affiliate team. Like that was our home field.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So I would go there, but what happened is that when I was there, I asked if there were any jobs available, and one of the jobs was the bat boy. So in the second season for the Brooklyn Cyclones, I was their bat boy. The head coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
The head coach was Hojo.
There you go.
One of the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
Gary Carter.
Oh, so you got to meet him.
And this is before, obviously, he passed away, and everything like that. But I remember Gary Carter, he asked for he was like, can I just have a pastrami sandwich? He ordered a pastrami sandwich, and as the bat boy, one of your jobs, you were a bit of a gopher.
Sure.
So when I got it, and they didn't put any toppings on it.
Yeah.
And I remember him being like, no toppings. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. So the next day, I went home to a Brooklyn deli, and I bought Gary Carter a legit sandwich, and I brought it to him the next day.
That's awesome.
I gave it to him, and I was like, hey, this is how it's really done. Like, sorry about that yesterday. And he gave me a $50 tip. And when I saw him later that day, and I said, hey, coach, how was the sandwich? He goes, one of the biggest sandwiches I've ever had in my life. Couldn't even finish it. I only ate half. Thanks, kid.
Awesome. There you go.
That's my story with Gary Carter.
I love it. We're gonna bring in my co-host Phil Causey. He's finally made it. Bring him on, Phil.
Yeah, buddy.
Phil, what's going on, man?
I caught the very end of that story. Yeah. That's cool as hell. I love that. I love stories of big tips. I work for tips all day at work, so I relate to that. And that's awesome. You got a good tip. I wish I had the body of a stripper, Mike. Thank you. All right. I don't mean to interrupt whatever you were talking about, but what were we talking about, kids?
We were just wrapping up about the Mets. We were talking about Dwight Gooden Day. So this is Nicky, Phil. We worked together at Barstool.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. So Nicky was just he's a big Mets fan, so we started with that. And now that you're here, we can get into some of the wrestling and talk more about that. But we were just talking about Mets baseball, Dwight Gooden, and the fact that he was alive to have this day.
Nicky, where do you got the Mets this year? Where do you got him? Where do you got him finishing?
The first 5 games of the season, I said that they were going to finish dead last, and that I wasn't going to watch the game. Now we're probably going to win the division, to be honest. Strider's out, done for the year. Fuck the Braves. I don't give a shit. I hope he's injured. I hope he never comes back. Hope his career's over. And that's just the way I roll. That's the way I roll, man. I've been scarred. I've been dealt a shit hand. I've been given misery after misery after misery. I am done playing nice. If it means the opposing teams and my enemies need to get injured in order for me to get one World Series or make a run, I'm prepared to do that. I don't care if it jinxes me. The jinx what? I experienced nothing but destruction and dismay. Yeah. There's nothing to jinx at all.
Damn, I've been here for 45 seconds, and man, you brought a guest coming in hot today, Mike.
I know the good people. I
disagree with the general sentiment, because here's the thing, and this is
which sentiment I gave you.
Were you actively rooting for an injury for an opposing player? Because here's the thing, when me and Mike are Yankee fans. When it comes to like the Red Sox or whoever, Astros, whoever the rivalry du jour is, I don't want anybody to be injured. I want their ace on the mound that in full health. That way, when we knock them out in the third inning, you get to say, fuck you, no excuses.
Yeah. But here's the problem with what you're saying. That never happens to me. I always lose. So I'm done playing that game. I want your worst on the hill. I want easy victories. I want easy victories. I want 4-game sweeps. I don't want drama. I don't want anxiety. I don't want any of that. I just want it to be over. And I want a parade. And then I want to die. And then I want to die.
Okay.
I get the parade.
We used to have we had a third host who's on a hiatus, Brian, and Brian's a huge Met fan, so I think he would appreciate what you're saying. He's been a long-suffering Mets Jets fan, so he knows it's Phil. We're spoiled, so we
are very spoiled as Yankees / Giants / Rangers fans. We are / Liberty. We're not going to forget them. We are going to do some content for them. Later in the summer.
At one point, the Liberty were the best team in New York until the baseball season started, and the Knicks.
And then the Knicks got hot and the Rangers got hot. But anyway, so you wanted to talk about some wrestling? I don't know anything about it, but take it away, kids.
Yeah. So Nicky, to give you a little background, he was producing the wrestling podcast at Barstool, and we could do a whole documentary about that show.
We will.
One day, all the wrestling show.
It was called Wrestling.
I love it.
Nicky, and he could tell you better than I could, but he single-handedly kept that show alive and just would do it in his spare time. It's like, we know Barstool was a place where you had to hustle your ass off, and they love that. But we would always try to you had the room to do what you wanted sometimes, and Nick was a great example of trying to keep that podcast, because when I would go out to events, I would go out with Doug's and Frank the Tank, the card shows, and everybody was like, we need wrestling on Barstool. We need wrestling. I'm like, they're trying to do it. So for whatever reason, I don't know all the dirty details, or if they are dirty, but it wasn't a thing unless Nicky was doing it, and then they said, now we got to stop. And
there's two problems with that. Number one is that I'm the only person that can do it. Let's be real. There's no one that understands professional wrestling like I do, from both a strategic standpoint and in order how to break into the audience. Because Phil, you don't know this, but I'm an extremely smart individual. I'm very, very smart, and I understand the back ends of all of the different social platforms. On top of that, Brandon Walker. When you
say back end, do you mean coding and algorithms?
I understand what I do for my real job now, ever since Barstool laid me off, which was a terrible idea. But ever since that happened, and I'm not going to say where I work now, but I work directly in that now. So I'm doing the exact same stuff. So I understand, I'm half joking, but I understand the back end of how to generate views, awareness, use SEO.
Can we hire you for this show? Can we?
I'm expensive, brother.
He's expensive.
You guys will end up working for free if you want to hire me. But basically, it really was just that you need to have passion. If you're not doing something because you want to do it, and you're just doing it because you get a paycheck, you're not cut out. It ain't gonna work. So for me, I work better when I'm doing things that I inherently like as well. So I was a producer of the Mean Girls, right? I was a producer of ZBT. Those are two shows that I would never be on, but guess what? The job is that I'm a producer. So that's what I had to do. Hey, you're on that show, you're in this show. So one show is about females talking about their exploits, going on dates and shit. I don't care. I've been married for 8 years. I don't give a shit about any of that. And the other one is the military. I've never fired a gun in my life. Wouldn't know what to do. So in order for me to operate at a high level there, you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. You got to make sure that you're doing things that you like. So for me, people are like, oh, it's more work. I'm like, it's not more work. It helps me do the other stuff. Yeah, because I'm getting my gratification.
What's that expression? If you find a job you like, then you
never work a day. You never work a day in your life.
Yeah, we said the same thing. I hear you. All right, so no, I like that. So wrestling. The only thing I really know about it is there's I'm from Connecticut. I know WWE is their corporate office is there. Stanford, and I did recently see the movie The Iron Claw with
I haven't seen it yet. I'm saving it.
I will say this, it's a tearjerker, my dude. You wanna save a day for yourself when it's raining and no one else is in the house, and you can sit there and process it. Because it is
I know the story of the Von Erichs, so I'm very astute on what it is, and I've read every seen every documentary on them, etc. But I also know a movie's a movie, and like I'm gonna cry. I mean, that's 100%. You can lock that to mortal lock. I'll cry without a question for sure. But yeah, I'm saving that because I know my brother-in-law wants to watch it. So I think we're all trying to build out a time to watch it all together.
Oh, you're gonna like you're gonna bro out and cry together. That's
yeah, man, I'll cry. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll do it. I don't care.
Hug each other. Are you gonna cry on his shoulder? Or is he gonna cry on yours? Are we gonna take turns? How are you gonna do this?
I'll just be alone, brother. I'm crying on nobody's shoulder. I'm a grown man.
Oh man.
So
you go first, Mike.
Yeah, so now Nicky is on his own. He's doing the Meat Pop Express podcast, just covering all things wrestling. And I've been seeing it online, but just give the audience kind of a taste of like how's it been going for you, and how more people started flocking to your podcast.
Yeah, so we got an interesting show. So what happened is that me and Big Trouble Ben Bishop, 6'12", 15% of a metric ton. Ben is an actual pro wrestler. So he wrestles every weekend. He's on the independent scene. Phil, for you don't know, Ben is an actual 6'11". So like he's 6'11". So he's a monster. He's a
Dare I ask what his weight is? Like, is he what, 3-something?
He's like right around 300 pounds. Yeah. So Ben is a daunting individual, and I'm about 5'7". I'm a short Italian guy. So when we're next to each other now, I usually gimmick up. Let me see if I have my gimmicks with me. I'll toss them on here. And by gimmicks, I mean, so like we do every show like this. So if I'm Meat Popping, I'm like this right now. Yeah. So that's right. So we do every show, right? We have the shades on. We do the entire show like that, never miss a mark. What we do is we consider ourselves. Hold on, I'm cutting a promo here, brother. And what we do is we consider ourselves the top wrestling journalists in the game. We have the most integrity. We're the most handsome because wrestling fans are typically disgusting human beings, and we are now the outliers in this space, trying to bring weekly fire to you, one show at a time. So we're every Friday or Saturday, depending on my schedule. And we just drop some knowledge, but we have a lot of connects in the game, Mike, to answer your question. We're not just some losers that have a podcast, we're real people. We have real guests on.
That feels personal, Mike. World. This guy.
What did I say?
No, I'm saying when you said losers with a podcast.
I totally wasn't joking. I was totally referring to you two guys. Absolutely.
Okay.
But all seriousness, yeah. So me and Ben do the show. We were doing it at Barstool for a little bit, and then when I got laid off, we just kept doing it. And so it's the same bit. With all of our connects, and we've been running, pretty hot since September of last year.
Question: are those the same sunglasses that you used to wear indoors in nightclubs back when you were single?
No, I mean, brother, I didn't really go to nightclubs, dude. I hate that shit. I know I'm Italian, so you probably
I was gonna say you're Italian. What the hell?
Yeah, no, I'm more of like a punk rock kid. I was never into that scene. I was like going to DJs. I'm from Brooklyn, so I didn't hang out in the Jersey clubs. Like I'm not Jersey Shore.
Oh, so you're not that type of. You're not like a situation stereotype. Okay.
No, I'm not that. I'm not that at all.
Yeah.
I met that guy, by the way. He's really nice.
Mike, yes, yeah. Mike's a great guy. He's been in the office a few times. I talk the office like as if I worked there still.
I know,
but
Barstool,
But yeah, so that's the deal. I've been running hot and heavy since September with Ben.
It's awesome. Yeah, I always like that you would do your own viral videos. The thing at Barstool, the producers always had to just kind of produce. They had their talent, but it was filled with people who used to be stand-up comedians or were like doing their own. Like myself, Phil's comic.
I can tell. Comic, he's got good energy, Phil. You got good energy.
I appreciate it, big guy.
And you would do all your videos. I always loved the Italian guys explaining things, which was great. I'm always sharing Italian videos with my family, and ever since my brother got married, his wife, one side of the family is Italian, mother and grandmother straight from Italy. So we have fun sharing that stuff. So I would send them your videos, and it was very relatable to me. How did you build up a fan base doing the Italian stuff? Did you get any kind of resistance? Or
no, I mean, I mean, there was really no resistance because it was like my account, right? So the thing at Barstool is like, it was tough because and anyone who knows me, like I'm supposed to be in front of the camera, and I'll say that. And then if anybody has an issue with it, they can come see me. But the problem is that
you're a front of house guy.
I'm in front of the house. The thing is I wanted to work there, but I was 30 when I started my journey, which was 7 years ago to try and get in. I was 32 years old. So like I had to compete with all these 22-year-olds that had no real responsibilities and could just sit and make TikToks and create great content all day. I was working in digital, ad tech, right? I had no time on my hands. I was married. I had a kid on the way. So I became a producer. So like, because I knew I could do that at night. Like making content though, that's a grind. Like you got to be in for it. Yeah. So fast forward all these years, while I was behind the scenes, I knew that if I was able to kind of catch the eye of content people there, that, hey, maybe they would, start taking a liking to me. And I just started ripping those, like, my wife leaves the house for 2 minutes, those bits when I reenact the wrestling one. So KFC saw one and he retweeted it and tagged me in the retweet.
Nice.
And from that moment, everything changed for me. Like
gotcha.
that specific retweet, it put me on like the map of like, yo, this kid's got something, or like he's kind of creative.
Right.
And then from there, I did one every Friday for like 20 weeks. But then I was like, I don't like just constantly going to the same well when it comes to content. If you notice about me, I'll always create a different bit. Like after I think I've got enough out of something, I'll keep it around, but I'm not going to shove it down your throat because I don't feel like it has its lore anymore. That's why with the Italian ones, I'll get requests. People I'm like, yo, can the Italians explain this? But it's got to be something good. I'm not doing it for just anything. I could do it off of any topic every single day. But after a while, everyone's like, I don't want to watch this shit. It sucks. So I did the Italian stuff, and like then Big Cat started seeing it, like Jerry. And then once you're getting in that upper echelon of people with the followers, then it just went nuts. And then when I got laid off, the Mean Girls made that video with the TikTok.
Yes.
And I made a response video, but everyone thought I was going to act all depressed and stuff. But then
I remember that.
I just cut it. I acted like I was upset about their comments. But then I just started promoting the Meat Pop Express podcast and talked about how rich I was, which was all true. Right. I am. So. And I gained 7,000 followers in I think 4 hours.
Really? I didn't know that.
That was the night I went out. That was the night because I said in the video, I was like, I'm way more talented. Phil, I said this for a shoot. In the video, I literally go, I'm sick and tired of other people on this app that are less talented than me having more followers than me. So I need 10,000. And that night I got to 11,000. I went from 5 or 4 something to 11,000 in I'm talking 4 hours. It was crazy. And then I went out and I bought myself a cake at Carvel the same night that said congrats on 10K. And I lit that bitch and ate it. And I looked at the camera and I said, can you fucking believe they let go of a guy like me?
Yeah. Yep.
Stupid decision. And I fucking ate that cake right in their face.
Yep. And to this day, your fearlessness continues, and I love it.
You're not careful, brother. I got a hot wife, 2 kids. I'm good looking. What the fuck do I gotta work?
I want to wake up with this level of confidence tomorrow. That is my greatest wish on this planet, is to have that exact level of confidence that we're here right now.
The key to me is, I don't know how old you are, Phil. You're probably all around the same age here.
Right? I'm 37. Yeah.
All right, I'm 30. I'm gonna be 39. Mike, Mike, what are you? 30?
42. I'm 42.
I know you are, brother. I know.
Okay. No, I wasn't looking.
Is that to me? If anybody listens to this thing and you want to take anything for what I'm saying because of why, I think I'm confident. It's not about being confident. It's that you get to a point in your life, especially if you want to do things that maybe your friends in your 20s didn't think was cool. You didn't go all in because you were working. As soon as you stop worrying about what other people think, that's when that's when it just clicks. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about what I do. You don't like it? I just don't give a shit. I'm just going to do me. Because how are you supposed to get it? You guys are doing the show. Why? Because you want to do the show.
Yeah.
I do shows I'll do shows that like 50 people watch. It's like, why am I doing this? Like, because I fucking want to. That's why.
Yeah. We did this. We started this during COVID, where I wanted to do something with Phil, and Phil said, "Hey, my buddy, me and Brian had an idea. We want to watch sports brawls and get drunk and make fun of it." And I said, "Well, I don't drink, but I would love to do that because that reminded me of Cheap Seats and Mystery Science Theater." And we were stuck at home. I'm like, we couldn't do stand up. I'm like, let's make something funny, and that's how we started. And to this day, we don't do those only because YouTube keeps flagging it. Not flagging it. They make it like 18 and older. So we keep this podcast alive just because Phil is really talented and a good interviewer. We had on, what's his name? Hacksaw, the guy from San Diego.
Lee Hacksaw Hamilton? He's a famous radio host.
He's a sports guy.
He used to be on Sirius XM years ago. He used to be the Chargers play-by-play guy years ago. Right. He's pretty well known in like the radio scene. And I emailed him when I was like kind of smoking up one night, and he got back to me. I didn't think he would, and he's like, "Yeah, like let's do it on Thursday."
Do you do radio, Phil?
No, I want to. I'd love to.
He should.
I mean, that's got a good voice. You have a good voice.
Thank you. My dream job is to be the overnight guy. Yeah. I just want to be the
smooze. You want to be Steve Summers. You want to be the smooze.
Sure.
Exactly. He was on today, actually, Steve Summers.
Yeah.
He gets
I want to be the guy who comes on when everyone's driving home from the game, and I get to be like, "Oh, the Mets dropped another game, 4-2 to the Giants." Like
Keith McPherson.
A heartbreaking loss.
Well, here's what I'll say to that is like, and I know we talk about wrestling here. We haven't even touched upon that, but like,
we're about to.
Is that if you're not doing it, it's never going to happen. So like, if you're not doing this, then like, who's going to like that? That's the way I look at it too. It's people like, why are you doing this? I was like, because when opportunity knocks, I'm going to fucking answer it. And how can you answer it if you ain't doing it? And if you're not doing it for free, like if you're not doing it because you just want to, then you're not really looking to do it. You're just looking for like an easy, easy grind. I'm not even into that.
Nick, you have a second career as a motivational speaker if the wrestling thing doesn't work out. So that would be.
I've gotten that too.
He helped me a lot at work. Yeah. I was trying to figure out like.
I do want to talk wrestling if you're going to talk it. Now, I don't know. Like I said, I know dick about it. So right now in that world, what's like the storylines? I know, didn't McMahon sell it or something a few years ago, or he's thinking about selling it, or I don't even know.
You're like way behind.
I'm 2 years behind.
No, you're like epicenter of the fucking storm behind. So basically, this is what happened here. Okay, you ready to rock and roll? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this in under 5 minutes because I don't want to be talking about this forever. And my wife is probably embarrassed upstairs that her husband has this fucking jean jacket on talking to you people. So here's the deal. So basically McMahon was running the company for, over like 30 something years. Mm-hmm. And then some allegations came out, right? So he had to step away.
Oh yes.
So he had to step away and then he ended up coming back and then worse allegations came back. Right. So during this whole thing, there's the whole merger. WWE gets bought. They do the merger with TKO. So Endeavor comes in, purchases WWE. Then there's a big merger with the UFC and they form TKO. During that whole process, Vince McMahon gets caught in some really the worst allegations you maybe have ever heard in your life. Yep. And now he's gone. He's exiled. He's out.
Hold on, wait. I thought they were kind of funny more than the worst. Because like the worst allegation is you name like,
murdered somebody,
like murder or whatever. But the only one I read is that he was having a threesome and took a dump on somebody, which that's not the worst thing I've ever heard. It's one of the funniest, actually.
Listen,
it's disgusting.
OJ killed someone and was
we're getting TikTok, OJ. Don't worry,
making TikTok videos.
That's
okay.
To be irreverent.
It was easier for him to show his face all these years than Vince's having to walk into a room after he's basically just took a dump on some girl's head. Like that's to me maybe. No, it's not worse, but we're talking.
Pretty
this is comedy here, right? So
it's very funny. I'm sorry.
So anyway, Vince is gone. WWE makes a deal with Netflix for $5 billion over 10 years. Yeah. And we just have WrestleMania just now. It's the Bloodline is the biggest story. The Rock is involved in the Bloodline. Yep. Roman Reigns, who held the title for 4 years. Cody Rhodes, who's Dusty Rhodes' son. He left WWE 8 years ago because he wasn't being treated the right way. So he left on his own accord. He fired up his own path. He went from town to town to town, promotion to promotion to promotion, to eventually start a rival promotion called AEW. He then left that company to come back to WWE because the one thing his father never did was win the WWE championship. Rhodes has never won and held that belt and been the world champion. He said that he had to finish his story. So at WrestleMania 40, he did just that.
I have a question about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually. So again, I know almost nothing about this other than just what I hear in passing and from watching the Iron Claw. Is that a thing with wrestling where it's very family oriented, where like, you know, okay, so it gets passed down from generation
the bloodline storyline, what I just spoke about is an actual bloodline. They're actually all related. Like Roman Reigns, who was the guy, is The Rock's actual cousin. It's called the Inoue dynasty. They're all of the same family. It's his legitimately father, like it's legitimately like you're talking like 50 people that are all related that are in the professional wrestling business. And the Rhodes family is also a family. You have Dusty Rhodes. His sons are Dustin Rhodes, who is Gold Dust, and his son is Cody Rhodes, who just won the WWE Championship in Philadelphia at WrestleMania 40 night 2.
So family pride is a big thing. That's interesting to me. I never even thought of that until I saw that movie.
The McMahons are a family. The McMahons are a family.
Oh, I'm from Connecticut. I know all about his wife. Don't worry.
It was a family business, right?
Yeah.
So everything is family in professional wrestling.
That's
cool. What is Triple H's involvement at this point?
He is the guy right now. He is the number one. He is basically the new Vince. He is the lead for talent. So he runs WWE, him and Nick Khan. So Nick Khan and Triple H run WWE. Triple H is in charge of all of creative. So he's the chief creative officer of WWE. He's the reason. He's the reason for the major resurgence and what people attribute to the product becoming, what it is today, which is the best stuff they've shown since the Attitude Era in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Now, what was the league? Is AEW the league that Chris Jericho was involved with, or was that TNA?
Chris Jericho is in AEW right now. That happened around 2019. Tony Khan, whose father owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tony Khan was a big-time wrestling fan. He wanted to start his own promotion. He has billions of dollars. He can do that. And now they are widely considered the second biggest promotion in North America.
Awesome. And it looks like, wrestling, there will be no letting up. I knew wrestling when I was
bigger than the NFL. It's bigger than the NFL. People don't realize that, but it's bigger than the NFL. That's why they're going to go to Saudi Arabia. They're going to sell it out. They went to Australia. They're going to sell it out. They went to the UK. They're going to sell it out. And people want to say, the NFL's so big. I'm like, listen, you don't even know. You don't even know, brother.
Well, I used to watch. So when I was a kid, I knew wrestling with Hulk Hogan and the Junkyard Dog and Captain Lou Albano and all that. And then that's like, I didn't watch as much of it, but my brother would start watching it. And I started watching it again when there was The Godfather.
Yep.
and his women. And then he joined
the hose train.
Yeah.
Not women, the hose.
Yeah. And then but then he got brainwashed into that cult. It was like the corporate thing, and The Rock got caught up in that. I think it got really weird, and then
so you're confusing two factions here.
Okay.
So the Godfather got caught up in what was called Right to Censor, and it became The Good Father. So he stopped selling hose.
Is that where your name is from? Nicky the Good? Are you a big fan of his or something? Are you related?
See, what people don't realize about people like The Good, what is that? My last name's Buono. So it means good in Italian. So I am Nicky the Good. So that's where that comes from. But no relation to the Good Father. He's a 6'9" black man who is currently in Las Vegas right now, and he runs many gentlemen's clubs.
Yes. I met him at a convention. Got his autograph.
Great guy.
Really cool.
Phenomenal. Charles Wright.
Yeah. What's that, Phil?
I've learned so much in the last 20 minutes, and I've learned the height of two people that I didn't even know existed, which is very interesting. Nicky over here knows all the heights. I find that's impressive. Like, you weren't fucking around when you said that you had the most extensive knowledge of anybody.
Oh yeah,
I've been described as an onion. And by Captain Cons, who worked on Zero Block 30, he says, Nick's an onion, lots of layers. Just trust me, he's got lots of layers. And that's why, and then, and like I said, I talk this way because if it's not the truth, call me out on it. But brother, it's the truth. It's just lots of layers here.
Nick, it was great to work with Nick, being so I wasn't. There was a couple of Italians at Barstool, but Nick would always defend Italian desserts because other people at Barstool would rip on cannolis and certain things, and it was just like, do you want to open Pandora's box? Do you want to deal with a lot of angry Italians? Because that's what you're getting to. And Nick would just.
Now I've got questions. Now you guys are in my wheelhouse where we talk desserts. Well, cannolis are really good. It's funny. I never had a cannoli until I was like almost 30 because that's not really a thing outside the immediate tri-state area of New York. There's really no Italians.
Yeah.
Now what else would be it? Is cheesecake considered Italian? Like, what are the other Italian desserts?
Man,
the cookies,
I mean, like,
right? Those hard little cookies. Those are good.
They want to say like rainbow cookies, tiramisu is like what the majority of like. What's funny is like I wouldn't listen, and I actually spoke to Big Cat in the kitchen about this, and I remember this vividly because I was trying to defend Italian desserts. I wasn't saying that Italian desserts are like the best desserts.
Right.
People were just shitting on them, saying they're terrible. I was like, they're not terrible. It's just like it's a dessert that you have at a specific time with specific food. Like, you're not going to have a cannoli. You're not going to have cannoli with like, if you're not having like an Italian course, like it's part of the experience you're having. I've never been at a restaurant. You don't go to Outback Steakhouse and be like, let me get the cannoli. Like, you like, give me the fudge lava volcano. Yeah. Like, you know, so that's what I was trying to say.
You have your layered lasagna, you have your Chianti, and then you have your cookie, rainbow cookie at the end.
And that's all I was saying. Dinner. People like, it's the worst. I wouldn't have it eat it. I'm like, shut up. First of all, these people were Irish. I don't know where you are, Phil. But these people
French.
Like, I'm like, French, okay, yeah, there we go. All right. I've been to, what's that place in New Orleans? I've been to that one spot.
French Quarter?
Nah, fucking Cafe Du Monde.
Oh, okay.
You know about that? You been there, Phil?
There's a lot of French spots in New Orleans.
You got but that's like the famous one with they got the fucking Zeppelin looking things.
I might have been there, but I was drunk the whole time. I don't remember.
Yeah, fair. But really, that's all I was saying. To me, it's also like I am Italian, and I see a lot of, as we would call like the ragouts, the fugazis. There's a lot of fake Italians at Barstool. Like, these people are not real Italians. They talk like they are, but they're just not. So I used to get angry because, again, I'm behind the scenes, so I actually can't be heard, but I'm listening to all this shit. And I'm like, none of you are actually Italian. So I just started to use whatever influence I had on Twitter to essentially own the space. So now if something Italian happens, I am typically tagged, and this is within the Barstool universe. I'm not saying like in the world, but like I'm not even working at the company now. And whenever there's an Italian thing, I'll get tagged with like the other people at the company. It's like, yo, motherfucker, I don't work there. But like fuck.
So now you're defending Italian desserts for free. That's
I mean, I've done everything for free. Like half the shit I've done for free. Like my actual job responsibilities, I just did them. I was just so good. I could just do so many other things.
Yeah. I came into work one day. I went out to lunch. There was a place across the street from the building. The Bagel Pub, which was a good place to eat. And they started selling these chocolate bars, but they were made with cannoli cream, cannoli bars. And I just did a little video of trying it out because I was so amazed. I was so amazed how much it was. And Nicky saw it and he's like, this fucking guy just took my whole act. He's
no. Listen. It wasn't that you did a review. What did you put in the review?
I don't remember, honestly. Go ahead. I don't remember.
Phil.
What did I do?
I'm listening. I'm all ears, dudes.
I have the brand rocking at this time. Like, I am gaining so much steam. My Italian Explains videos, like, I'm getting them. Like, some of them are going, like, I had one go north of 1 million. I had a few go 300,000. I'm hot on the streets right now, brother. And like, for behind the scenes, dude, I'm like, this is great. And every single time I see something Italian that I would have approve on, or if I were to speak about anything Italian, I'd always put the Italian flag after. Just as like the Joker's calling card. No one was doing this shit. Nobody was doing this shit. And I see motherfucking Mike do a review and drop the flag right after it. I'm like, I understand and other people can put the flag there if they want. But there's just no chance that the guy that sits directly next to me is going to drop that fucking flag and I'm sitting next to him. Not on my watch, brother. That just doesn't work for me.
And I apologize.
You first of all, I was joking. It was okay if you would have put it up. I know. But I also know you're a nice guy. So I was like, when I say this, though, I know he's going to be a little taken back by it. Because you also know me. I come hot. So,
yeah.
But listen, you got to protect your territory. Something's
I know you do.
And I see it. I'm like, yo, I'm scraping. I'm scrapping here. I'm trying to become a fucking star.
So this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This fall, I'm going to bring you both to the San Gennaro Festival on Mulberry Street. Okay, we're going to walk up and down the street. We're gonna get some food reviews in from Mikey and Nicky. It's going to be a good time. Yeah. You can tell me how authentic it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you just go there in the afternoon on like a Wednesday. Just don't go
anytime. I'll go to any pizzeria, any place, anytime.
I just got to, and I got approval from my wife. Keep in mind, I got 2 children, so you just being like,
oh no, that's family friendly as fuck, dude. Yeah, bring them, bring the whole clan. They'll love it.
He knows.
My wife hates social media. If she saw me doing a review in public, she would take the kid and she'd be gone. That would just not happen. Like you would think I married a woman that would be like tolerate this. She is steaming upstairs right now.
Listen,
like,
Phil.
Coming out of her ears.
We don't even need to go to San Gennaro. You just go to Bensonhurst and go to 18th Avenue.
That's it.
You go to the Bronx. You go to Arthur Avenue. You'll get all.
They have the same shit there. You go there, 18th Avenue Festival.
That's the real deal.
In Bensonhurst, and those are where you get the real people. Like
we're gonna get you guys matching bibs. We're gonna go to the restaurant. It's gonna be a good time.
You get the real Goombas.
You get the real deal people there.
All right. So you mentioned OJ a few minutes ago. Are we gonna do that part, or do you guys have more to talk about? How we doing this? I don't know what I missed.
No, I know it's getting late. I want to. So Phil had requested because OJ died.
Hold on. You know what? If you're gonna throw me under the bus, I'll do the intro. So
you do the intro,
Nicky. I'll leave it up to you. If you got to go and get yelled at by your wife, you can go do that.
I got about 7 minutes left. I said 9:30. I'd be done.
So we on this one of the things we do vintage sports brawls, and we also do vintage sports ads featuring athletes. So I figured OJ died. He was in before I was even born, probably like 100 television ads. So I'm like, for this week's vintage ads, we got to do some OJ. We have to. We can't. How do you not do that, right? Like it just makes perfect logical sense. So I told Mike, I sent him a bunch of links. I go, rip some of these. We got to do some of these this week. So if you got to run, you got to run. That's fine. Or you can hang out and do 1 or 2 of these with us if you want.
Yeah.
If you want to do some vintage ad reviews, let's do it.
What the hell do I got to do though? Where is this? Where is it?
We're gonna play it. You're going to play it in the screen. We're going to hang out. We're going to crack little Y's. We're going to, I don't know how many you rip, Mike.
Are we commentating on it? That's what we're doing here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, or we can talk about it after.
This. We're doing this is YouTube reactionary content is what it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
I found 3 of them. I also found a Dwight Gooden commercial, but let's get to the OJ one. So here's the first OJ commercial.
I used to run through airports. Now I fly through them. With new Hertz #1 Express service, I fly nonstop from my plane to my car.
I love this.
Without stopping at the counter. If you ask for #1 Express when you make your reservation, your Ford or other fine car and contract will be waiting at the #1 Express booth. Once again, Hertz puts you in the driver's seat faster than anybody else.
Look like a lot of Ford Broncos in there. Coming down the parking lot. You probably pick one up on the way out.
That would have been way funnier if he did land in a Ford Bronco. That would have been a joke that wrote itself, honestly. That was incredible. I love the part where he's flying and it's just clearly some student film person running a green screen for the first time.
Superman 1, baby. That's what it was, like that.
All right, let's get to the next.
Reeves in it.
Let's get to the next one. I'm not sure which one this is. This might be the chicken one. Let me see.
Hey, OJ, you sure enjoy that Golden Pioneer chicken.
Oh, yeah, I love it. As much as I love Pioneer's new country spicy chicken. The Golden Pioneer chicken has a crispy, crunchy taste. Sure, but country spicy is a whole new way to love chicken.
Well, at least you both agree on Pioneer's new buttermilk biscuits.
Who wouldn't? They're baked fresh in Pioneer's own ovens, fluffy to give you mouth-watering taste. Why, they're almost as good as my mama's. Your mama.
The taste America loves best, Pioneer.
Mama never told me about you.
13.
Oh, so that's who the murderer is.
About this. Yeah, that's the real killer right there. Is the oh my god. There's a lot to say about this. Okay, first of all, I don't know what year this is. I assume this is pre-1990.
No, it's 84, it looks like.
Okay,
it's
all right.
84.
So here's the thing. You could not do that ad in the current climate. Could you imagine, like, take whoever the famous running back, I don't know, Saquon or somebody, you could not put them in a fried chicken ad where the ad starts, hey, you seem to really like that fried chicken, don't you? Like,
it would be handled a lot more delicately if they were to do.
This is definitely the 80s, you can tell. And then they dropped a Yo Mama joke right at the end. This is great. This is vintage television, Mike.
I'll tell you something. And like, I love nostalgia. It's like, obviously he's a murderer. Like allegedly, whatever, but he bad dude. I just love those type of commercials though. Like I miss the vintageness. So corny. I like corny commercials though. I think they work. I think they stick. I think there's something about nostalgia and having these celebrities that actually aren't great actors do this type of promotional stuff. I don't know. To me, it's always commercials, I don't know if it's because of my age, but like commercials stuck a lot more back in the day. Like you look about Cindy Crawford doing the Pepsi one, right? Like that's just such an iconic video, iconic commercial. And now it's like, I can't remember. Maybe there's just oversaturation. There's just too many. Like, you know, like, you see them on linear, you see them on fucking whatever. Like it's just crazy. But
yeah. Well, now we got Tommy DeVito doing commercials. So.
I did that video too, right? 3.7 million views, and that was a good one. Tommy DeVito actually saw that one, by the way. I was in Aspen, and I got stopped. I'm coming down the mountain, and I was at work, and I was in Aspen, and I'm walking down the mountain, and I hear Nicky Cutlets, and I'm like, what? I'm like. And I turn around, they're like, "You're the guy." And I was like, "What guy?" Like,
wait, so you did like a parody commercial of Tommy DeVito?
So I had this bit I did for like 3 weeks. Like I told you, I do different bits, right? I never stay doing the same thing. So I did the bit. It's on my TikTok. It's also on Bustin' with the Boys. They put it on their Instagram, after I got laid off, whatever. No big deal. But it's basically me. And I play the role of Tommy DeVito, but it's like if Tommy DeVito was in the huddle, what's he doing? And it was just me being overly like Italian. So it was like, all right, here's the play. We got ABC, 1, 2, 3, kitchen cacciatore on. No, it's like XYZ, ABC, chicken cacciatore on tree. Ready? I go, all right, here's the next play. Your sister's a whore. Like, so that's what it is. It's on there. It has a few milli views. And then I got, it's on my TikTok as well. I got to concentrate a little bit more on TikTok.
Yeah. I like that. I like it. Mike, what do we got for, you said we had Dwight Gooden and one more OJ? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're getting close on time. Let me just throw in the Dwight Gooden video.
We'll do we can do the OJ one after he bounces.
On that one, yeah.
Let's take a look at the Dwight Gooden. This is the only one I could find, by the way.
Hey, Catfish. Hey, Dwight. That curveball of yours, how'd you get it to drop so far?
Let me show you, kid. First, you take a cold Diet Pepsi. Icy cold. Then you slide your fingers down the side.
Whoa!
And then
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Catfish. That's illegal.
Not for me, kid. I'm retired.
Diet Pepsi, the 1-calorie choice of a new generation.
A little sexual there. There.
That got a little. They dropped a very strong innuendo right in the middle of a Pepsi commercial, and no one batted at it. Man, I love all.
I mean, dude, they're dropping all that stuff into Disney stuff now. You've been seeing all that shit in the Disney videos, man. All this creepy stuff, man. I don't put it by these. I don't trust nobody anymore. My kid watches maybe Bluey, and that's it. I only trust Bluey.
That's what my nephew watched today. That commercial, I'm just glad it was Pepsi and not Coke, because the jokes would have wrote themselves again. So we dodged the bullet there. But I was the only one I could find, and Catfish Hunter sadly passed away from ALS. So that was kind of cool. You're right. The vintage, nothing beats. My cat is going psycho. Nothing beats the vintage commercials, and I was glad I was able to find one for the Good Doctor. So, I think we're wrapped up here. About an hour. This was great, Nicky. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Yeah, this is fun, man. Great to meet you. Great talking to you, man.
Yeah, great talking, man. I know I come in hot, but I'm an internet heater. It says so in the bio of my Twitter. It's just what I do. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. Please, I'll come on anytime. Love shooting the shit. Love talking about this stuff, nostalgia, whichever way you want to go, we'll get it done. But yeah, thanks for having me. I had a good time.
Where can we follow the podcast? Where can we follow the podcast?
Well, follow me before they follow the podcast. I pay me. So follow me at Nicky the Good on Twitter, on TikTok. You can follow me Pop Express at me Pop Express. That's YouTube, and we're on Twitter as well. And you can follow the People's Dad. That's on YouTube as well. It's under my YouTube channel at Nicky the Good. And yeah, I'm pretty much everyone, and I'm tweeting really early in the morning. I'm a very early riser. So if any of you dads out there, you moms out there, you feel lonely, you feel like you're the only one there when your kid's screaming their head off at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, you got to feed them a bottle. You come tweet Nicky. Nicky will be there for you.
Thanks a lot. All right.
I love that. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon, man. Peace.